Today, we are here with the king of flow, the man, the legend, Steve Ritchie. Welcome to your first Southern Region Pinball Convention. How has this show been for you today, this weekend?
It's a great show. It's like I met a whole new batch of people, which doesn't happen often because, you know, I see a lot of the same people at the, you know, say the Chicago show, which is big, and Texas, where, you know, there are more attendees, but I don't see the same people. A few of them, but not too many. So I got to meet a lot of people and talk about pinball with them.
I'd like to congratulate you on 40 years of pinball and arcade design.
Well, thanks. Pinball is my life. It's what I do. It's important to me to make the best game I can.
When did pinball become your life?
Probably about 1976.
What happened? How did it?
Well, I got permission to design a game at Atari. My boss wouldn't let me, but Nolan Bushnell let me, which was really cool. And it was like a first shot, and the game is kind of, it was designed by a dopey kid, okay? But I did learn a lot, and I don't know. The next one came along, and I started to develop a style with Superman, and how I wanted things to go, and then when I got an offer to go to Williams, that was huge. That was my first real pinball company because, you know, this was a giant machine, a manufacturing machine that could make anything. Bomb sights, they did. They made all kinds of stuff. They had giant stamping machines. One of them was so big, you got to bring it in by helicopter and drop it through the ceiling of the building. And when it stamped out a leg, it would shake the whole floor. You would feel it. You could feel it 20 feet away, 30 feet away. And even if you were upstairs, you would hear, you know, ka-chung, 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 ka-chung. And lots of people there working at machines, and mostly stamping machines, but also, you know, there was a guy that spot welded tabs to ball guides, and that's how they were made then, and it worked out for us. So raw materials would come into the factory, and we were actually a manufacturing company. We would make our own transformers, wind our own coils, wow. And it was like, you know, just a different world. Atari was like, they didn't have any idea how to build pinball machines. And, you know, it's one reason why it you know, kind of went away after 7 or 8 years.
And it's not something you can jump into. You have to.
Pinball is a very expensive business to fire up. I mean, it's just, it's horrendous. It's just so many things to design and engineer and have made. Just building a line to operate play fields and shove them down is like a, you know, it's a huge undertaking. It's a very expensive thing it's like building a car. So you need a lot of workstations, a lot of assembly zones, and you know, and you need a lot of good people.
How much was made in-house at that point, do you think, at Williams? Parts or production?
I don't know, I would say like maybe, we did buy some things outside. We didn't mold any plastic parts. Probably, I'm gonna guess and say like 65%.
Wow.
I mean, we stamped out a lot of stuff, but I'm thinking back and I think every time we did a flipper iteration, make a new flipper, I think we had an outside vendor deliver them. And then it started becoming an assembly company after that. We even had a plating shop there. They could zinc plate and cadmium too, dangerous stuff. Anyway, that kind of went away.
Did you play much pinball in your free time before that?
Oh yeah, I played pinball all the time. It's like when I was a kid, my parents we'd go to the Seaball bowling alley in Pacifica, California, you know, and they would bowl in leagues, and I'd play their pinball machines. You know, they'd give me $1 or something, and I try to make it last as long as I could. They were all Gottlieb machines, and one day this guy was there, and he opened up the game, and I got to look inside, and I was thinking, holy mackerel, that's a lot of stuff in there. And you know, I was talking to him, and I remember what he said to me, "See this game, kid? It's the Cadillac of the industry." And they were. I didn't know or care. I just played them. And anyway, it was like an interesting childhood. in school, I guess at the end of grammar school, 8th grade, they said all the teachers got together and they predicted what each student was going to be, and my prediction was a mad scientist in a toy factory.
That's true.
It is true. I mean, it's my life.
Was that in the back of your head since then, that kind of stuck in your head? Hey,
Yeah,
I want to do
that's
that.
how I was. I liked taking things apart and figuring out how things work, and I really like to read and study about just about anything. I like learning. Period.
Did you own pinball machines before you got into pinball, or open them up yourself?
I had to play them at arcades, or until I got to Atari, there was no free play for me. And I remember the first games we got at Atari. First thing you do if you're a manufacturer, it's a good idea to purchase your competitors' machines and look at them and play them and see what they're about. For me, it was like a total learning experience. I mean, I saw how they were put together, how they worked. I had to play them. I was able to check out every single component and understand them. That's it. And they were solid-state games also. And they were Captain Fantastic and Steve Kordak's Space Mission.
Of that, who were your designers that you kind of took, that they were not someone who inspired you, that you liked back then, that you kind of studied when you first started designing games? Or did you kind of just do your own thing with your first few games?
My first few games were made at a time when there wasn't much flow in the games. It wasn't a thing. It wasn't a thing. It was like, I'm thinking maybe, there's a little bit of flow in Mata Hari.
Right.
There's a little bit of flow in some other games too, but it wasn't really based on that. And I don't know, I just wanted to smooth it out and make it interesting, and the possibility of connecting a left flipper shot to a right flipper shot and getting around the loop and coming around and just making combination shots. They're really fun to do. So,
did you feel prior to that, games were missing something? Meant that most games?
I don't know. It's just you set. What do I do? I kind of look for pleasing movement of the ball, but also it can be very violent, fast or whatever. But I just want it to be. It feels good. It's like when you nail a pool ball, okay, and it's a long shot and it goes in the pocket. Bam! It just feels so good. Pinball is related to that, no question.
The ball is wild, but you like that shots can be fast but makeable.
Yeah.
Fast, but hey, I made that happen. I controlled that shot, even though
I could have one or two, difficult shots. That's okay. I mean, any more than that, if you make them all too thin, it's tough. It's I don't know. It's a style. And ask me something else.
So in 2007, I moved to Seattle near Shorty's, the arcade bar.
Yeah.
And the first game I played was Spider-Man Pinball, and been addicted to pinball again ever since in my adult life. And Terminator 2 was the first pinball machine that I bought. It was Terminator 2.
Yeah.
It was real beat up, but I learned how to repair them.
Okay.
What do you think about games that you've designed 10, 20, 30 years ago that they're still on location earning and making money for operators? What do you think of that?
I think they should have sold them all and then bought some new stuff. Now it's like, I like to see them on location, but what is it? It's if they had been on location the whole time, it'd be hard to have them actually play nicely without a restoration at some point. For something like Flash, all the Flashes are old. I mean, played down to the wood. Somebody might have nice ones, but restoration is what you're talking about. Also, my thoughts are, and they're selfish. Anyway, it's like, I like to see games making a lot of money for the people that operate them. And it's always going to be, a newer game is always going to make money. I mean, with some exceptions, but, you have the other games are old school. They're old ideas. They were new when they happened, but
Right.
like, did you know that Flash Pinball had an option to buy a xenon flash tube in a box on top of the game that you could light up your whole place with every time the lightning went off? I mean, it was very cool. It drove earnings. It really did. It made people interested, in playing. So, I don't know. New things bring good money, usually. Not always, but usually.
So, what do you think about your games keeps people wanting to play them more on location, or just keeps them interesting to people? What about your games makes is unique, or?
I'm not sure I understood the question.
So on location they have longevity. What do you think attributes to that they still have games out? Like my Terminator 2, people play it every day. My F-14, it's the hardest game I own.
Yeah,
it earns every day.
Yeah.
I mean, do people like punishment, or?
They do. People like punishment. Now, what they like is, one of these times they're going to say, "Hey, I beat it," and it's totally satisfying.
So it's
seeking
that. It's that seeking.
Yeah, but they all have a little bit different personality. F-14 was in your face. T2, not so much, but still, I mean, it's tough to get everything done that you have to get done, and get a great score. It's like, I don't know. Some people just like, okay, I got to fire that cannon again and again. I got to get the bonus shot. There are different things that bring people back to a pinball machine over and over again. You try to build a system that appeals to as many of those groups as possible.
No Fear is, I have two.
Yeah.
And because because people, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's seamless. It's like it's like the Baja mode where it's like that. You're kind of like going and going and going.
Yeah.
And to me, all the modes resonate in it. I love the buy-in feature. I always set buy-in to as unlimited, because if they want to beat it and they're not good, they can keep hitting the button.
Right.
And get better eventually.
Right. They get one ball for the same price as a whole game, which never made sense to me. But if people are doing it, that's great. It's like there's nothing wrong with it. Nothing at all. No Fear was like, No Fear was a lot of fun to make, actually.
How fun what was it like? What was the development process like? Did you pick was it like, hey, here's the licenses?
Extreme sports were first happening, and also I was a dirt bike rider, and I wore a lot of No Fear equipment. No Fear armor, jersey, pants. I didn't have No Fear boots, though. Always Alpine Star. But it's like, you have to buy all this stuff, or you end up a broken up mess, you end up a broken up mess anyway if you ride a dirt bike. If you ride a dirt bike, you're going to crash eventually. It's not if, it's when, and how bad.
Nice. Those are some of the best call-outs in pinball ever. Extreme. I just wait for it. And this...
Second place is the first loser.
It is.
Crash and burn.
Did you have any more call-outs that you were going to add that kind of got cut out because you couldn't put unlimited animation and sound in a game? There's limits. Were there more sounds that you wanted in that game, or music, or?
No. I mean, it's like we made up the calls for everything. It was like,
so it was all in. The
rules they're not super deep like they are today.
No.
So it was. I think it was, an ample amount.
Yeah, but my customers really enjoy it as much as any newer game.
That's good.
So it's a game that has legs. And
for that one, what's fun about it, No Fear, is making that jump shot. It's just fun to make it.
Sometimes on mine, it'll go and it'll jump over it. So it'll jump over to the left in lane, and I like that it's you can predict, it's predictable shots, but the ball will still jump over the flipper.
Yeah.
The talking skull.
I don't know what you can do about that, but if you have it, is it set up really steep?
I like game steep.
Okay. Well, there's no guarantee that it's going to play, the best it could. I got to tell you that. If you're over 6.5 or 7 degrees is the extreme. you know, it just straightens the ball out. It does a lot of funny things, and you end up with speeds that jump the flipper. You can jump the flipper on a Star Wars though too when it's brand new, and that's at 6.5 degrees because the small loop really gets the ball going very fast. Especially if you do it twice in a row. Twice in a row, it's gonna jump the flipper, no doubt.
Rule sets are expanding more in games. There's a vast difference between Terminator 2 rules and Star Wars. What are your views on the growing complexity of rules in games?
Well, players have learned to stack features. They want to start features, you know, simultaneously, and there's a lot of reasons why we do it. It's like, yeah, it kind of like, I guess it makes the adventure a little more interesting. There's more details to check out, and you know, rules to learn and play. It's not something that's done really quickly.
So did it come from the demand from the customers primarily?
Yeah, it's mostly the software guys. Lyman was kind of like Lyman Sheets is, hello, you got to bend that one from the inside. I can see how, maybe not on a.
We're helping people move some kind of game in the.
Let's start over on that last one.
I'll merge it. Continuing, I'm going to go off on a tangent. You're a big fan of rock and hard rock music. What are some of your favorite rock concerts you've seen live?
Oh wow! I've seen all your favorites. You know, because I'm old, and you know, like once we went to Winterland. I think I was like, I don't know, maybe 19, and on a break from the Coast Guard, and we were sitting on the floor at the Fillmore Auditorium, and we were there to see Big Brother and the Holding Company, I think, without Janis Joplin. But before that happened, 3 guys came out on the stage, and they're standing in front of us, and it's just like, it's Blow Away. It's just the mightiest 3-piece that had happened, you know, in music up to that point. It was just so cool. It was totally English. It was Eric Clapton and Jack Bruce and Ginger Baker. It was Cream. And they blew our minds. You know, there's maybe 300 people in the place. Other experiences. I've seen Led Zeppelin like a bunch of times. Once at Kezar Stadium with my brother when he was a lot younger, and we had fun. It's like, I've seen Queen probably 10 or 12 times. We're big fans, my wife and I, of David Bowie, and you know, I've also been in many bands, and we play these tunes. You know, I would until. You know, my hearing went bad, and I just decided to be a pinball designer. You know, I mean, you can be in band for a while, you know, but it's like I got tired of being poor, and after I was married, I had a responsibility to my wife. It wasn't just to me, so it's like settled down. Anyway, big bands that I love. There's so many of them. Wow, have you ever seen the Tubes? They were so good. So many bands. I saw Jimi Hendrix twice.
Wow.
Once at Flushing Meadows Park and once at Randall's Island Music Festival, which I saw that. My wife got tickets. She's from New York, so she got tickets for 3 days, and it's like we saw everybody, you know. Like the 10th time I saw Steppenwolf, and she, while I was in Vietnam, went to Woodstock. She was at Woodstock. Wow. Anyway, so music, yeah. Now they're all kind of old-time groups, but there's lots of rock and stuff going on. You know what I really like right now? I like playing Scott Dinesi's game with that background music. That's a cool, it's driving, and it's like there's something really good about that tune that makes you want to play better. Play better.
You have to
play better.
You have to play better because the ball is wild. You can't play control like a tournament player. Like, look at me, I'm trapping the ball, and the band pass box. Have you seen inside of the cabinet, the box inside the subwoofer box?
No.
So it basically compresses the air and moves the cabinet, basically the whole cabinet, at all times with the beat. And it's nothing, it doesn't drop, but it's consistent. So if you look inside after a tilt, it's still going. for much longer than usual.
Okay.
So you get phantom tilts.
Yeah.
Which I respect as like a decent player, but
Yeah.
you know.
It's, okay. Well, it's just, I'm just mentioning music that I like in games, and so, of course I like AC/DC. Just,
And the
so
sound
much fun to make
package,
that game.
and the sound package was a lot better on the LE and the premium.
Yeah, it was. It came with a 12-inch woofer, and it's like a bigger amp. Yeah. And at that point, people were putting in subwoofers that
Already.
that fit in the small hall too on a Pro. So I mean, you can make a Pro sound as good as a premium or an LE. Okay, so what do you want to talk about?
Okay. A friend of mine that has a Hyperball wants to hear the story about Hyperball. How did it come to be?
It came to be because I wanted the video project at Williams, because in '82 the bottom fell out of the video game market, the pinball market. It's just like, you know, the same thing happened in '84 to the video game business, and it's like, whoa. So two big crashes, but the first one was pinball. You know, they just went overboard for video games. That's it, and they could earn more money, take up less space, and you know, they were extremely popular then. And so I wanted to make a video game. So basically, that's what Hyperball is. It's basically Space Invaders. Shots come up around the side, and they attack your energy center down the center, and you spell things. And I wanted the game that was like, the spec was, I want to fire 6 balls a second. So we made that work. We had to do a lot of things to figure out how to make that very durable. And it's like, no matter what we used in the plunger that's to shoot that fast, it mushrooms eventually, so they have to be replaced and changed. But it's not a hard thing to do, and it's not expensive. So we threw some extras in the cash box. It was difficult to engineer, to get, you know, the Archimedes screw to work and bring balls up to the play field and deliver them as fast as possible. Very noisy, but it attracted attention. It did great, like on the Jersey Shore, anywhere you had like an arcade or a environment. Everybody was trying it out, and it's like it's a fairly hard game. It is.
It's unique. It's fun. It's visceral, and there's nothing exactly like it.
Right. It's a gun game. It's a shooter.
It's a shooter. It's a real shooter. A friend who is really into the Mortal Kombat series was wondering if there's ever an attempt or a plan to have a Mortal Kombat pinball machine done during that era.
I think we talked about it, but it was like we had seen Black Belt and some other games based on martial arts or fighting games. I don't know, it didn't cut it. It's like
Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, Street Fighter 2, you're right. It's just they didn't cut it, so we just thought, nah, that's a great video game. It is. It's awesome. Ed Boon is like a brilliant guy. And a good friend.
So you don't think it could translate to pinball if it was the right demand?
I don't want to. I just don't want to, because of the history of other pinballs, you know, having to do with martial arts. You want to go real recent, it's WWE.
Right.
You know, for one thing, Mortal Kombat would be different because there's women fighters also, but
right.
You know, WWE has a bunch of men on the cabinet, backlash, men in Speedos. I don't want to see that. I just don't want to see it.
But Kombat, Kombat's popular. UFC, Mortal Kombat. There's 10.
I know.
And it sells more than any other fighting brand, and it came after.
It does. It just, maybe somebody will make one. I just don't think it's going to be me. I'm not motivated by it. I think it's a great video game. It definitely is.
It's a great game, yeah.
I really enjoyed working on it, and you know, doing the speech and all that.
What was it like working with Ed Boon?
Good. No. He and a guy named Dan Forden coached me. And I still use Dan Forden to this day if I'm going in the studio to record my own voice. He's there. But Ed Boon had a flavor that he wanted, and he was describing it, and it's like, okay, you know, I would just do it until he liked it, and they would say more S, more breathy, or whatever, you know. And I don't know. I let people coach me. I'm looking for the same thing they are, and also the feedback in the head is like having an electronic device like a a pitch bending piece like a what was the name? Oh yeah. I'm gonna start that over. Okay, so it's really fun to get the feedback in your headphones while you're speaking through a pitch altering machine like an Eventide harmonizer, and actually tuning your own voice to where it sounds the best. You know, changing the pitch or whatever, or just changing the machine a little tiny bit and trying different things, and then you find this one that's just, it's it, you know, and you know it's it.
Who were and are some of your favorite people to work with in pinball, historically?
There's been a lot. I made a lot of games with Dwight Sullivan. We probably sold like 50,000 machines together.
Right.
And then I really like working with Lyman too. Lyman Sheets he's just a brilliant programmer. He's as much pinball as I am. Pinball is his life, just like me. I really enjoyed working with Larry DeMar, another great pinball programmer. We didn't get along as well as we could have, but it's like two people butting heads. It's just, but you know, we didn't work together and we became much better friends. And he's a lifetime friend, and we have a good time. And I respect him and he's an MIT guy. I mean, he's incredible. He's one of the smartest people I ever met in my life. Same with Eugene. Eugene's got like, you know, degree from Berkeley in computer science, and then he went back to get an MBA at Stanford. He's like, this guy is educated and still crazy. It's very cool. Who else? Eugene Jarvis is great to work with. I mean, one of my favorite all time. We had fun. We made F-14 together. Ed Boon was on that project too. That was his first project. We sort of taught him what pinball was about because he didn't really know. But what
did he bring to the table? Like, what was his skill set at that point when he came in?
Well, he had a degree from University of Illinois at Champaign-Urbana, but also, you know, a really funny guy that's like smart as a whip. Okay, another very intelligent person, and it's like so much fun. I mean, we just had so much fun during Black Knight 2000 and other games. And you know, we made fun of him sometimes, but he kind of like, okay, I'm the newbie, I'm going to take it. I'm going to do whatever I have to do to be good at this. And he did. He did everything that he could to be good at it, and he was.
When you have to have a sense of humor to work in pinball, is that
I'm an
prerequisite?
Asshole. I'm just an asshole. Sometimes, like one guy, he was a great guy too. Mark, hang on. Okay. A guy was hired by Larry DeMar, and I didn't know him or anything. His name was Mark Panaccio. And he came in, and I was just having fun with him because, you know, when I finished talking to him, you know, when he first came in, hi, this is Steve Ritchie, you guys want to talk about what's going on? Yeah. Okay, so we talk about it, and I go, I just met you, and already I don't like you. I said that to him. And he looked kind of shocked, but then he figured out it was just a joke. That's all it was. That's all it was. He was another excellent programmer. We just used to say things like that to be like intimidating. I guess that's it. I can be.
Welcome, honored guests.
Right. You know, I don't know. I have fun with people, and once again, you know, I don't mean to hurt anyone ever.
There's an attack. There's an invasion in Orlando.
That's a tank driving behind us.
Yeah, we're getting invaded, but we're gonna knock out this interview. So your brother was also quite a good pinball designer.
Yes.
What was your favorite game that he did?
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones.
Yeah, it's a great game. Great game. I love everything about it.
Because do you find it challenging to make a good wide body game? Was it challenging to?
It's okay. There's wide bodies and there's wide bodies. At Atari, they were this wide. They were huge.
Mega.
Super Pin, not so bad. Not so bad to work with. Well, I don't know. Next gen plays good. I'm not unhappy or ashamed of that. I just what do I want? I guess if I really wanted to change how much real estate I get to use, I wouldn't mind going up. Oh,
Right.
and maybe a little longer. That would be kind of cool too. But we're not doing it because all of it. Believe it or not, I mean, a lot of things sort of revolve around how many games you can get inside
A container.
a container. That's right. And it's like you figure out that, wow, I can't get like 3 or 4 more games in there. I'm losing 3 or 4 more games because I did this.
And it's going
And
overseas.
a lot of distributorships, they go, send me 3 containers. So that'd be 9 games less if I made a game that was too big to put in the same amount. So and that's kind of a big motivation. Also, like cabinet changes are. I'm not going to say we're never going to do it. It's possible that we could, but the footprint and everything else, it's like it's a lot to change now. It isn't just the wood. It's like a lot of other things have to change too.
Media's change, materials change
Yeah.
for pricing or
Right.
access.
Right, and sometimes we just say, geez, you gotta make this whole play field and all these other things and cut holes in the back box and mount these little plastic things with stainless steel, then light them up, and it's just, it's a ton of work, and it's like, you can lengthen a project to where, hey, there's, okay, so it's costing X million dollars to make this happen, and so after a while you think, wow, is it gonna be worth it? Is it gonna have a return? So.
How was it in comparison to when you started?
How was what in comparison?
How was
Let me ask you a question. What is the difference between a chicken? And your answer is what?
and
One of its legs is both the same. Okay, what do you want to ask?
what was the difference between designing on pen and paper and in CAD? In the computer realm, designing
Okay, I'm gonna wait till that's gone. That's a helicopter.
another
Is there a Navy
helicopter.
base here or something?
Something's going on. We're safe right now, guys.
Okay, so what's the difference? Tons of difference. Just okay. The president of the company would come in, and he would come in one day and look at me and go, "Oh, you're doing good. And it looks like you're moving along." And I said, "Yeah, Mike, it's moving." And the next day he would come in, and I would have a big giant pile of eraser rubber in my tray. I had an electric eraser. That's what we all used. And drawing on Mylar and everything he talked about was gone, and I had to redraw it. And it's like, it just takes so much longer to see what you're going to get and to, I don't know, even to visualize anything. It's very difficult. And it's when you have to physically move things and redraw the whole thing, holy mackerel, it's just a lot of work. I mean, it's much easier to erase it, on CAD and redraw it quickly and easily, and it's like, it's a huge difference.
Is it easier to use your imagination to see how it's going to come out in the playfield in the computer?
I'm not going to tell you everything about my design
I know
process,
tricks, yeah, just
but
in general.
I print out my drawings, throw it on the floor, and I see what it looks like. You have to. Looking at it on a little screen is never going to, it's not going to give you the stuff. And, many times I've discovered, geez, that's way too narrow. I'm not doing that. Or, have they all been helicopters?
Yep. Yeah. We're still safe, everybody. Pinball needs new designers, new people in the business.
Do they? Why?
If it's to continue. Are you currently mentoring Keith Elwin at Stern?
I don't think he wants me to, but I do know that he's used my drawings to sort of, but he made his own game before he came there. It's just, it's a game. Yeah, I don't mind, and I'll help him. I volunteered to help him a few times. I'm not sure he wants it. I don't know.
But if he does, you're there.
Yeah, if he does, I'm there. And sometimes I'll just say, that's not a good idea. I will say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but his game is very nice. I like playing it.
The one he's working on right now?
Yes. It's a nice game. It's a good game, I think.
Who is mentoring him?
How
right
can you
now?
tell a good game when there's no code?
Oh, come
Or
on.
you're deaf?
Come
You
on.
flip the ball around. If it's still fun to play without any rules or anything
Yeah.
else, it's probably going to be a pretty
It's
good
the
game.
shots.
Yeah.
It's the shots. It's the main part of the game, is the shots.
Yeah. That is it.
What skills does it take to become a pinball designer? Like, what skills does one have to actually be a good pinball designer?
Mad scientist in the toy factory. Some mechanical sensibilities. That's a very interesting thing. I don't think so much. I've seen the ball move and what it can do and what it does. At high speed or low speed or whatever. So I have a sensibility about how big I want to make things, how thick, how many bolts I want to put in a ball guide. It's just like that sensibility it's acquired, but some guys could walk in and figure it out pretty well. If they've been tinkerers all their lives, or working on cars or motorcycles, that sort of stuff. There's working on mechanisms. And then there's the electrical end of it. I don't have to do that much, but I used to have to do it. I used to wire my own games, and it's like, there's a lot to learn there. But I really, that's sort of like out of our hands. We want this to do that because it's faster for them to do it. You want this light to be multicolored, LED, and there's got to be a target here, and it's, we're going to try and do this with it, and a device, solenoid device. Well, it's good to have, some engineering skills, like being able to draw, AutoCAD, or a lot of people work in SolidWorks, which is nice, but it's like, it's 3D, and there's, but what I don't like is it's really slow. It's hard for me to make a whole game that way and see what you're going to get quickly, because it's like building, I don't know, you have to start at one place and kind of build up and move on. It's not what I want to do. I want to lay out some shots and see what's going on. If I don't like them, fix them right then and move on to the next thing. Not have the program tell me the order it wants me to do stuff. That's it.
And there has to be
And SolidWorks doesn't exactly work that way, but it does have that effect. Okay.
There has to be a balance of left and right brain, correct?
Yeah.
You can't just.
Right.
You have to have a good balance.
But I mean, George does okay with SolidWorks. He does fine, but I also catch him using 2D draft side often because it's fast. It's fast. That's what we do. I think Borg is both.
And what do you use primarily?
I use AutoCAD.
Okay.
Which is it's a 2D program. It can be 3D, but I end up drawing things that really, once I do a sketch of a device or something, like we're working on a couple devices, then I make sure they're feasible, and then I hand them off to a mechanical engineer, and they're going to make it right. I'm going to listen to them, and they're going to tell me things that, or we'll just work together and come up with ideas and make it the best way to make it. And, cost is always a number two, so we were looking at, I didn't mean number two, I meant cost is also an important aspect that we look at. If we can find a way to make things cheaper, yet just as strong, just as reliable, we'll do that, but not without a lot of testing. You gotta have, I don't know, it helps if you played in an arcade, it helps if you played pinball a lot and you're an addict. It doesn't guarantee you're gonna be a good designer. It just means that you know what's been done already. To know what has been done already is a huge thing. Well, you can't come into a pinball company and know everything that's already been done because, there was a mechanical engineer once at Williams and he was all excited. He goes, I found a way to save $100,000 a year. All we have to do is shrink the diameter of the ring shafts that go from the ring on the jet bumper down to the bracket. Now, we don't want to touch that. We have researched this. And not just me, my predecessors, Steve Kordak and Johnny Young and a bunch of other old mechanical engineers that you've never heard of, have seen it, and we've all seen it, so we don't mess with it.
How do you compare, when you start a game, how do you compare it to your previous games, or how do you research? Do you go to like internet pinball database and
I do have that, but I try not to look at it too much. I'm working on something unique, so there are things I like that people have done, you know, but I don't want to get too influenced by anything really. I'll plant my last game on the drawing I'm working on, definitely, but it's mostly for components.
Okay.
And this time I'm trying especially hard to do something extremely unique. So.
And that's what people say they want, and and
well,
it's a balance.
To play nice too.
That's to play nice
right.
and be new.
Yeah.
It's kind of like each album will sound like the band, but be a different album.
Yeah. I don't know about that. This is going to be a different band.
I like hearing that.
All right.
There were 2 Black Knights and there were 2 High Speeds. If you could do one of those again for a third time, which would it be?
It would be roller games. I don't like the choices. There's way more than that, but I don't know. I don't think sequel is a good idea.
It what for those they deserved them though, and they sold well.
I mean, maybe, okay, but I'm not thinking about that now. Nor am I talking about it.
Is there any type of theme that you haven't done before that piques your interest?
There's a million themes
that are feasible.
Brought them up. I mean, I want Led Zeppelin. I want Harry Potter. I want the Beatles. I could make a great Beatles game. I would love it. I want rocking songs.
So do the Beatles deserve a pinball machine more than any other band, basically?
Are you going to design it for me?
I'll help you out. I got sketches.
Okay.
We all have sketches.
Okay. No, it's like, you know, I could build a nice game around the Beatles songs, but they're really hard to get. It's a mess. Publishing rights are spread all over the place. You know, so many people own the songs. It's hard to get and nail down and get them at a decent price, okay?
And it wouldn't help if they were all pinball fans, you know, like, oh, you like pinball? All right, sign. Hey, come on. It's like, ship them a few pinball machines, break them in, and then here we go.
Ed Robertson from the Bare Naked Ladies was definitely a pinball fan. So is Carl Urban. That's why we got the speech for Star Trek, and it's like, you know, he's a great guy. So he had some of my machines, which
here he did, yeah.
Right. So I'm talking to him on the phone. He's in a studio. We're connected by phone, but he's also being recorded. So, hi, Steve. You know, it's like, oh, this thick Kiwi accent. Yeah, you don't think of him as being, you know, a New Zealander. And so it's like, my hearing is already bad, and I go, you know, Carl, hi, how you doing? Could you talk like Bones? And he goes, well, sure. You know, snapping in and out of it, just like that. You know.
Oh, sure.
And you know, so I mean, but that's who we were looking for. The character Bones, he was great.
Those first 2 movies were quite good, and they were very good for pinball. They fit very well. Which? The Star Trek.
Oh yeah.
Last 2 Star Trek.
Star Trek 2012. It doesn't have a name. It's just Star Trek 2012. And the next one is Into Darkness.
Into Darkness.
Yeah.
And that game earns quite well.
It does. It does well.
And that's one eventually I will route, but I stick to the 90s. I like bang for buck. That's most of the games that I operate are, you know, I get a good deal, and you know, and I like to keep, they keep running. The thing is, these machines are built as long as they're maintained to last.
Yeah.
I know it's a consumable good, you know, and they, you know, if they're not treated well, they can perish. But I learned at Pinball Hall of Fame in Vegas. I've seen games that have been on route literally almost 30, you know, at least 20 years.
And the wood still looks good. That's what usually goes first, the screening and the wood.
You have to replace the balls.
Yeah, you have to do a lot of things to make them live, and you wonder. Where is that?
That's right over there.
That looks like a rescue helicopter, a medical helicopter.
There's a lot going on around here.
What's going on?
There's just a big population here, so a lot goes on.
Oh yeah, you got tons of visitors. Tourista.
They have a heart attack when they see the price of their bill for the hotel stay. And so you're currently working on a new game with Stern. You said it's going new directions, new mechs, new angles, new ramps.
We can't talk about it.
But you're happy with...
I'm very happy that I don't have a licensor looking over my shoulder and telling me what to do. And twice in a row, it was very difficult to work with HBO at, with Game of Thrones. It was two ladies who, we never could really talk to anybody except these two ladies, and we had to do what they said. In virtually every case, and it was like, what is it? I'm not ashamed of Game of Thrones. It has some very cool, authentic things, but also it's not authentic in the way that I would have liked to have made it. I don't know. It's hard to work with too many cooks. That's it.
Yeah, a pinball designer needs creative license as much as possible.
Yeah.
And the artist.
And also the sensibility to respect the license and understand what they do and don't want us to do. It's like I worked on Elvis Presley with Elvis Presley Enterprises. Very nice people. They brought it up that there's a lot of negative talk about Elvis and the last part of his life, and I assured them I would never ever do anything like that. I'll say this, I didn't even really want to do the game in the beginning, but after I went to Memphis, and saw everything and understood that he dared to rock. It was like men hated him because he had women, swooning, okay? Men hated him. Another group of men hated him because he danced like a black man, okay? And it was just like, it was tough. It was tough for him, and he kept doing it anyway. Some people called it dirty dancing or whatever, the hip stuff, that got him really bad. So,
one last helicopter.
that's another one.
That's pretty wild.
That's another medical helicopter.
Oh, jeez.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, so they're dropping like flies over there. All right.
This is a retirement capital.
Okay, what were we talking about?
Oh, well, just Elvis.
Elvis, yeah. Elvis is like, that's it. He dared to rock. He did. And he became more of a hero for me. Although I will say this, I was playing with a rock band in Castro Valley, California, and we found out, we knew it was coming. The Hawaii show was going to be on TV. And I'm telling you, every one of these hardcore rockers in band and everywhere, we just stopped playing and we watched the whole show because he was still the king. No doubt, no doubt.
Well, it's good to be king.
It's good to be king.
And thank you for your work and your time. In the future, I will be routing more of your games on location.
Okay.
And they'll help me pay my bills. And
are you gonna let me see this before you?
Yeah. It'll be all edited up the best I can.
Yeah.
Chopped together. And
I don't think we said anything dangerous.
Nah, just the cuts. But and thank you for making games earn well.
You're welcome. Thank you for being a fan.
Appreciate it.
That was a handshake, folks.
Yeah.